Could the results of these local elections have an impact on national politics in South Africa? To discuss that, Emira Woods, Associate Fellow at the Institute for Policy Studies in Washington, now joins us live. Emira, thanks for joining us. Good to see you.
Great to be with you.
So, Emira, South Africans, as we mentioned, have been voting in local elections, and this is seen as a test for the ruling African National Congress, the ANC, and for President Zuma. And the polls show that the ANC may in fact lose control of three key cities: Pretoria, Johannesburg, and Port Elizabeth. Now, this is very significant. It's a big deal. ANC has dominated since 1994. So how much of this is due to the poor economy?
Well, there's a lot of it that's due to the poor economy. It's high unemployment, particularly for young people. It's workers understanding that inequality is increasing in the country. And it's also a general sense that the ANC has not kept its promises to the people. So there's a lot of discontent, particularly about issues of Zuma and spending on his house, supposedly for security, improvements in his house. And really the core of it is issues of corruption and problems seen by the ANC in not meeting the needs of the people in housing, in jobs, in basically a decent economy that will meet the needs of all.
Well, Emira, it sounds like you're in agreement with the sentiment of many analysts that say the ANC is partly to blame here, if not mostly to blame, because if you look at the economy, it's expected to be 0% this year. It stagnated 1.7% between 2008 and 2015, and you compare that with about 4.9% for the rest of sub-Saharan Africa. So how much of this is due to ANC mismanagement?
Well, I think there's a lot that's being laid at the doorstep of the ANC. Clearly, there are global concerns. The global economy is really facing stagnation. Many are looking at the results of the Brexit and what impacts it will have, not only on places like South Africa, but really all around the world. So there are some things that are beyond their control, and commodity prices is a big issue with the plummeting commodity prices. But, you know, we have to understand that the South African economy is largely seen as a responsibility of the government, the ANC, and the decisions that it's making. It's just a few months ago that President Zuma, in fact, replaced the finance minister, you know, twice in a week, and there's a sense of just mismanagement at the very top of the ANC. So I think this is really seen not only as a municipal election, but as really a vote that will have implications on not only Zuma, but on the future of the ANC.
I mean, there are certainly some major macroeconomic headwinds that the country is facing. Irrespective of this, to your point, many say that Zuma should stand down because of the scandals. Like you mentioned, his rape trial near impeachment, he's being ordered to repay taxpayers' money that was spent on his private home. And like you said, changing finance ministers 3 times in the course of a week. So if the ANC does do badly in the elections, do you see Zuma standing down or being pushed out of the party?
Well, I think that's what the South Africans will have to, those are the questions that will be asked after the results come out on Friday. I think it will be definitely a decision that will have to be made if the ANC loses badly, particularly in the main cities, Johannesburg, Pretoria. If the ANC does so poorly that heads will have to roll, I think those are decisions that the South Africans will have to make based on those results.
Well, the main rival for the ANC is the Democratic Alliance, and one of their big platforms is overhauling labor laws to make it simpler to hire and really to fire workers in South Africa. Do you think that the DA could make a significant economic difference if it does gain more power, and how so?
Well, I think the DA is seen as really the party of the whites, to be quite frank. It's seen as the party that is favorable to business, and the party that is looking to really clamp down on the trade union movement, which is strong in South Africa, you know. And so I think the DA is seen as to the right of the ANC. And really this may be a time when South Africans are looking to much more progressive values in terms of the economic management of the country, to particularly issues around worker rights, issues around climate change. You know, it is going to be leaders that are responsive to those issues now and into the future that will likely get the nod from the majority of the people.
Well, the DA does have a black leader in place now, Musi Maimene. So is this changing the impression that it is a party which is supported by whites mostly?
Well, I think that is their wish, but to be quite frank, I think there's a long way